Welcome everyone to Unstoppable Voters Take on the Midterms, our info session and Q&A. I'm Rachel, she, her. I'm the director of Unstoppable Voters at the Center for Artistic Activism. And we have a number of lovely people with us here. Steve, do you want to say hello?
Yeah, hi, I'm Steve. I'm the co-founder and one of the directors of the Center for Artistic Activism.
We also have Crystal.
Hi all, I'm Crystal, she, her. I'm the program assistant for Unstoppable Voters at the Center for Artistic Activism.
And KT.
Hi everyone, my name is KT. I'm joining from Senegal and I'm a workshop leader with the Center for Artistic Activism.
Great. And we had a couple opening questions for you through a good old-fashioned Zoom poll. That's Steve.
Yes,
you can launch for us now.
And there's 3 questions here.
Wow.
So make sure you scroll down.
Yeah. Okay, great.
The first one, we're really trying to collect hard data, right? But yeah, there's 3 questions, so. Is everyone seeing them, the poll? Yes. Oh, here are the, now we're seeing answers. Okay.
Steve, can you summarize what you're seeing?
There's so many conclusions to make from the first one.
Wow. Okay, great. A wide spread of feelings around the midterms.
Yeah, but let's see, we have 3/4 of folks have answered. How people are feeling about the level of support in midterms work is there are no thumbs up yet.
Wow.
3 thumbs down and 3 thumbs middle, as you put it. And then people are most interested in hearing about both of these programs.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And Lauren says we are very concerned.
Well, with that, you can keep voting perhaps, but let's really get into what we're doing.
Yeah, and we want to know, what are your burning questions for us? So throughout the session today, just feel free to put any questions you have in the chat, and we're going to compile them and answer them at the end. So feel free, any questions that come up, just go ahead and put them in.
Yeah. We'll extinguish those as we go.
Yeah. Here's the results of the poll. I don't know if you can see that. So we can send this off to Nielsen now.
They've been waiting.
Yeah.
What else are we going to do today?
So Rachel's going to put up our full plan for the next 40 minutes, but we're going to give you more information about the Center for Artistic Activism and Unstoppable Voters. We'll get into the specifics of Unstoppable Voters Take on the Midterms programming, which is the main reason you're here. We're going to talk about the benefits of programming. We'll do a review of the application, and then we'll have our Q&A time as well. And again, just put any questions you have in the chat.
So the Center for Artistic Activism, we're a 501(c)(3) nonprofit, which will be important later. We've been around for about 13 years. We've worked in person in about 19 countries and done dozens of workshops with thousands of participants on a range of issues. We don't represent the entire organization. This was a recent group photo, although I think this one even isn't complete. We've grown quite a bit, a lot of part-time people around the world that can bring great perspectives. I could tell you great things about all of them, but this will be some of the team that you'll be have the support of, which is really helpful. And these are some of the issues that we've worked on. And one of the things about this range of issues and the locations that we've worked on is that it's kind of like honed the method that we use so that it really functions as like a framework that can work on all these different kinds of issues in all these different cultures and places. So yeah, so that's some of the helpful perspective that we can bring.
Great. Yeah, and one of our major focuses for the past few years has been bringing all of that experience and research and perspective to this Unstoppable Voters program, which is all about protecting the freedom to vote in the United States in the many expansive ways that that requires. So we just have a quick video to share about what we've done.
Helping to get voters motivated and to the polls is a team of unconventional people that describes themselves as artistic activists.
For some Arizonans, election season has turned into a circus. The Compton Cowboys riding their way to a ballot drop box at the Compton Library. They're taking part in the National Unstoppable Voters Project.
And this is just another way of looking at that. We've worked with dozens of organizations and hundreds of individual activists and artists and everyone in between, some of whom are on this call with us today. And we supported projects all across the country. And of course, this midterm season, we want to support a ton more. So the link to full information about our programming is in the chat now. And of course, we have two programs that we're offering through this open call, and one is a fellowship, and one is this thing we're calling the Action Accelerator. So to get into some more details, the fellowship is designed for people working at advocacy organizations to help infuse their midterm work with more creativity and innovation. We're thinking of the term advocacy organization or voting organization or works at pretty openly and loosely. So you could work at an organization that does a lot of things and is supporting voters just this year or has done it in the past and wants to do it more, but that can be a loose definition as long as you're trying to support voters. And in terms of work at, you could be volunteering at them and have a relationship with them. You could be staff, you could be leadership, you could be somehow affiliated with the organization. And just the point is sort of that you're involved in an organization and will have like the organizational support to achieve work and big things together. And through the fellowship, we'll get into more details in a little bit, but we're going to provide training and mentorship, and you'll come up with more creative, innovative ways to achieve this organization's pro-voter goals, and we'll give you funding to prototype, evaluate, and implement all of those creative ideas. And you'll do that as part of a cohort of exceptional people from all across the country. And then the other open call is for this Action Accelerator, and that can be really for anyone involved in an organization or not, activists, artists, individuals. Ideally, you're working in some way with an organization just to help amplify that impact. And you're going to come in with like a pretty clear idea of what you want to achieve and lots of different and possible ways of doing it. And then we'll work with you to hone those ideas and land on one, and then test, evaluate, implement.
So what you're saying, Rachel, is you don't have to have a fully thought out, perfect project to apply with.
That's true. Yeah, we want your big ideas and then to work with you to make them as successful as possible.
So it could be like themes and a sort of direction.
Yeah.
Great.
Definitely. This came up a little bit in the chat. So the Center for Artistic Activism is a 501c3. And so we have the most funding and ability to support C3 work. But the people that we're working with.
What does that mean?
So not lobbying and not any kind of electioneering. We can't do anything around candidate work, but we do have some money to support direct and grassroots lobbying. We have less of it, but why wouldn't we use it if we can? So we still want those ideas and we still want those projects. We'll just have to sort of navigate it within our tax code possibilities and within our budget at large. And in terms of like a fellow, we're happy to work with a fellow at any kind of organization because we're really training you. So that won't cross any lines because it's like more of an education. And if there are more specific questions about that, please feel free to keep asking those, but maybe that touches on some of the stuff to start.
And then in regards to the Fellowship and Action Accelerator, there are benefits to you and yours, but there's lots of benefits to doing these programming. And so the benefits generally correspond to 3 buckets. So we have funding, training, and community.
And why, yeah, and why are we giving you funding? Well, the hope is that you're trying really big, bold things. And we know there's not often a lot of support to take those risks, but we can help with that. We can be there to support you in doing those things.
And the reason that we're doing the training and mentorship is because, as I mentioned before, we've worked with thousands of people and done hundreds of hours of research and have all these sort of helpful information and methods. We've seen what works and what doesn't. So we want to share with you what we've learned and to help you develop a project that will get the impact that you need and that this whole country needs.
And then why community building and a focus on creating cohorts. And really because we know this work can be so hard and many of us are prone to burnout or we have burnt out already. And so fun is super important to us as an organization and we want to bring that to you. And I can say like I have so much fun with the center and we love laughing and being silly and goofy and it really makes this work a lot easier. And we'll learn from each other and find ways we can help each other and laugh away the bad things and celebrate the good ones. And because again, we know we need that to make it through. But now we're going to get into how this works more specifically for each program.
So to start with the fellowship, these are the details around the funding. We're saying that fellows should think of spending the equivalent of like 1 day per work week on the fellowship. But again, that's not really like taking you away from your organization's work. It's like a day's worth of thinking about how to apply more creativity and innovation to the work that you're doing. And for that, you'll get $1,000 per month over 5 months. And then the creative ideas that you come up with, we can support with up to $12,500 in funding. And we're also going to be supporting with, we're going to bring in some of our favorite folks who work in communications and media relations, probably people we've worked with in the past that have done really great work with us. And so they'll work with, especially if you're in with an organization, we'll figure out how to work together to help amplify the projects that you're working on and get them to reach the audiences that you're trying to reach. And we also, our other Steve, co-founder, is an expert in assessment and evaluation, and we'll be working to really test the projects and see what works and then deploy them. And then in terms of the training, we are going to try to come together in person in early August to really do like an intensive of a few days. We know that anytime is a bad time for the midterms, especially August. So we'll come up with the schedule where you'll be able to still maybe do your jobs in the mornings, or we'll have longer breaks so you can check in and we can just work together to make that work. But we want to like bring the few of you fellows that we have together to really dive in deep. And then you'll have a specific mentor throughout, which will be us and the workshop leaders like KT, to check in with on whatever timeline and regularity that works for what you're doing. And then all of the cohort of all of the people involved will meet probably every other week or so to continue training and to share successes and to overcome challenges together. And then if you're working with an organization that wants us to work with the folks working there at large and train more of you together, we also would be available to come in and do that with you. And then a little bit more about the cohort will be people all across the country meeting together, and also we'll have an online community that makes it easy to keep in touch. And we have a very special guest with us. And Steve is introducing her, but is muted.
Hi. Yes, our very special guest is Dr. Jeanine Abrams McLean, who's the president of Fair Count. Just to give you a little background on Fair Count, it was founded in 2019 by Stacey Abrams and anchored in Georgia. And they work to build long-term power in communities that have been historically undercounted in the decennial census, underrepresented at the polls, and whose communities are often torn apart in redistricting. We previously worked with Fair Count and its exceptional president, Jeanine, and many of its staff through our Holistic Districts Hub, a workshop that supported fair districting leaders in Georgia and Wisconsin. And through the Unstoppable Voters Fellowship, we're going to be working again with Fair Count and their volunteer organizer, Eileen Loy, as supported by Jeanine. So Jeanine, can you tell us a little bit about why you're getting involved in this?
Yes. So one first thing is that I just love working with y'all. Y'all are just so creative, so fun, and so knowledgeable. That it's just, it's a no-brainer for me. But also because we do a lot of work. We do work in the around the country, but we also do work for the midterms. We're focusing solely in a nonpartisan way on voter education and mobilization in the state of Georgia. Actually, in November of last year, we launched our Vote 365 program, which is 365 days of voter education and mobilization outside of the metro Atlanta area. So there are 149 counties in Georgia, primarily rural counties, that when everybody descends on Georgia, probably in August and September, they are not going to get that attention. It's going to go to those metropolitan areas, but elections are decided on the margins, and you have to engage all communities, especially rural communities and communities of color. And one of the things I'm excited about is that with this fellowship is we have our fellow is going to be our PPE. We did a whole campaign around COVID recovery and making sure it was equitable. But Eileen Loy is our PPE coordinator. She's also our volunteer coordinator for our Vote 365 program. And she's an amazing artist. She's a singer. She is a visual artist who's had, shows in Prague and all over, and has had some of her work showcased on television. But more so, even more than that, she's done just general work and activism work in Atlanta, where with all of the most recently, and this is outside of her Fair Count time, this is just her personal time, she started basically a banned book, like these sort of free libraries, as the schools and the school boards were trying to ban books and around critical race theory and all of this. And she's got them all over. And this is, again, just in her spare time. So just an amazing person that is a thought partner in all of our work. But to be able to bolster that with additional training, with mentoring, and always with any kind of funding to actually bring things to fruition, that's why I'm so excited. And I will say that when we were talking about this, I did have some reservations, especially with, thinking about other organizations, again, smaller organizations that don't, necessarily have the staffing. It's all hands on deck for the midterms. And so I was initially concerned that pulling her away from her current position would be detrimental. But understanding the time commitment and also how we're able to integrate the work that she'll be doing as a part of this fellowship with our everyday work completely erased all of that. So I'm extremely excited. I can't wait to get started, and I'm already thinking about other things that we can do. And Eileen she already started reading the book. Art of Activism, she literally stole my copy off of my desk, and I had to get another one. And so she's very excited, and I think this is going to be a pivotal and effective program for organizations around the country.
That's great, and thank you for mentioning that hesitation, because I think it's a really common one. Is we have limited amounts of people, and okay, we have limited amount of people. And Rachel, why don't you explain?
I think maybe what you're going to say is we have limited people and time, but again, we're really just trying to make the limited people and time you have think more expansively and actually do better. And it's not like a top down, you have to do it this way. It's working with you to think outside the box so that you can achieve what you're doing. How did you, Steve?
Good. I was just saying somebody really wants to talk to me. They called back 3 times.
It's true.
But yeah, that sounds good. Is there anything else that we want to cover with Jeanine?
I think that was really great. And maybe there are some questions that'll come up at the end that Jeanine could answer if there are any that are really specific about that. Thanks so much. And to get more into the Action Accelerator specifics, the funding models is slightly different of where we'll give you a sort of total amount. And the thinking is that you will use that to pay yourself, to pay the people that you're working with, and also do the project. Again, it comes with the same kind of communications and media relations and evaluation and assessment support that we were talking about with the fellowship. The training and mentorship will cover a lot of the same types of things, but because there'll probably be more of you, that it might be more spread out, we're going to do the training online, and we'll take we'll do it throughout August, but then we'll still have the same kind of, we meet every other week or so with our full cohort, and we'll check in with you every month specifically to see how the project's going, what kind of support you need, things that we can help you with. And the cohort is very similar as well, of like working with people all across the country, having these regular meetings to continue trainings and overcome challenges and share success, and the same online community to keep at it between meetings and with everything else you may have going on. And I think we have Carlitos here.
Yes. So Carlitos, who is a community organizer for QLatinx here in Orlando, is with us, and he's going to share in a moment. But Carlitos didn't exactly go through programming like this, but he's done multiple trainings of ours and led an Unstoppable Voters project in Florida called En Serio Loca, VOTA, which took over Orlando Pride last year and queered the vote. And side note, Carlitos is just like amazing, and I love him. And so take it away, Carlitos.
Hey, hey everybody! Thank you so much for the introduction, Crystal. So yeah, my name is Carlitos Díaz. My pronouns are he, him, his. I'm in Orlando, Florida, here for an organization called QLatinx, and I had the honor to be part of many different educational programs throughout these past 2 years with the C4AA. I started with Super Corsa, which was an amazing experience for me because it was my first time like sharing space with other organizers and other artistic organizers with ideas. And yeah, throughout training, education, I have worked different ideas, and I was part of the Unstoppable Voters last year, and I had this really cool idea called En Serio Loca, and the idea was to create an utopia, practically in social media and in person with performances, celebrating queer individuals and providing visibility to our community, because we don't get that very often, especially in voting media campaigns. I truly feel that our community often gets ignored. So the idea with this campaign was actually celebrating queerness. We did a really good outreach at Pride, promoting mail-in ballots. Florida is one of the states with those crazy suppression bills that makes people of color like me really hard to vote. So the idea was to create a conversation. Many people really don't know about those things. So it was pretty cool, you know, to make art, to do this project, and also to have fun and to do so. Recently, Rachel and Steve, they came here to Orlando, and we also had an incredible experience with having a training in person about artistic activism with other organizers here in Florida. So yeah, it's been a journey. I love sharing space with Center of Artistic Activism. I feel super good to always hear others people's idea, others people's work, and get inspired, and also like to hear feedback from other places, right? Because sometimes we share space with kind of the same circle, and this organization have really provided me the opportunity to talk and to learn and discover many different ways for artistic activism. So yeah, thank you so
That's
much.
great. Thanks, Carlitos. And just to put some images to what Carlitos was talking about, we have a little video about this project that En Serio Loca VOTA that we supported, and also to give a taste of the kind of work that really excites us.
En Serio Loca VOTA is a campaign to queer the vote and let Latinx folks know that we have power in our voice.
Part of the project is the artistic activism to make voting cool, make people feel that voting is necessary and we deserve to do it.
I'm a community organizer with Rideshare to Vote Aware. We are here with QLatinx at Orlando Pride, gearing up for our election launch.
We provide free rides to the polls.
I come from Puerto Rico, and it's not a secret that people from other countries, especially Latinx individuals, there's a lot of mistrust, especially in the South, because of the amount of violence that we live in our community. So even going to vote, some people won't trust the system and won't do it just because of that. The inspiration behind this project was also to make sure that people have more access to register to vote and to also to ask for the mail-in ballot.
If we don't vote, we're not gonna get our rights. So, you gotta vote and speak our mind.
We had an opportunity to be a part of Come Out with Pride 2021 here in Orlando, Florida.
So Pride means to me family, unity, community.
With over 30 to 50,000 people, we were able to make contact with and share information, which was also another way to showcase our locas. We also had a lip sync battle.
All right, one more round of applause for all of our teams.
And having that performative part while they're being queer, being Latinx, but at the same time encouraging people to vote was very empowering for me as a Latinx individual.
Gracias a ustedes por hacer un servicio tan importante a la comunidad.
I think it filled my heart to know that we can have an impact within our community.
The most effective activism is artistic activism. The more color and the more extra we can be, the more people are engaged. So being there and validating those messages about social justice and about the importance of voting there was really empowering.
Carlitos, can you show your fan? This is part of the campaign.
And Crystal has one too that she was rocking. Ooh, love it. I have one over there. It's great. Thanks so much, Carlitos. Because training is such a part of the programming that we're really excited about, we also wanted KT, one of our workshop leaders, to share a little bit about himself and the trainings that he leads and that you would be part of through the program.
Thank you, Rachel. Again, my name is KT, and I'm joining this meeting from Senegal. And I met the Center for Artistic Activism through Journal Rappé, because Journal Rappé was supported by the Open Society, and C4AA had to do a training here. We were put in contact, and that's after that meeting how I ended up working with C4AA. Journal Rappé basically is a program we came up with after the 2012 elections, presidential elections in Senegal, because there was such a huge engagement from Senegalese youth, and we didn't want to lose that. And we realized that actually most of the work to do should be after the elections and not right before the elections. And we wanted to keep young Senegalese people interested into politics, to know about what is going on in the country, what laws are voted, which effect those laws will have on their lives. So we decided to rap the news, because originally I'm a rap artist. So I worked with another well-known rapper here, and every week we would come and rap the news, talk about the parliament, decisions that were made by the president, so that young people can have access, can discuss, or have a better understanding of what was at stake. So Regarding my work with C4AA as the workshop leader, basically we do trainings. We are facilitating the workshops. And right now I am working in a very nice concept called the Learning Labs, where for 6 weeks, we have a group of people. I think in our group, we are 17 from all over the world and from different walks of life. And we come and discuss about artistic activism and try to understand what it is, what it isn't, what is the creative process, how do you apply the creative process to your action, to your work, so you can have visibility. And it's not just gonna be something that you're just gonna get inspired and do things, but it's more something, there is the method behind for you to have a better understanding and be much more effective in touching the right audience. So, and it's really great because the group is so open and exchange. There's a lot of exchange, a lot of ideas. People have worked on various amazing projects and we're learning from each other. So, and I think with mentoring also, we're basically gonna do the same. And just, you can benefit from having someone from the outside who will work with you, maybe at times be critical of what the ideas you're coming with. But overall, we will work, just collaborate so that your ideas are successful, so that your actions are effective. Thank you.
I just want to add, KT also worked on our Regional Creative Hubs project, which was over 3 years between West Africa and the Western Balkans working on corruption. So over those years, the corruption angle became more and more relevant in the United States, and we learned a lot from them. So he's got experience in a variety of regions and issues, and we're really happy to have him on the team.
Great, thanks. Let's quickly touch on the application so that we have still time to get to your questions. So it's here. It's really brief, contact information, and then you'll click one of these radio buttons and it'll bring up specific things we want you to tell us in a brief LOI, or letter of interest, or letter of intent. And you could write things down in about 2 pages, or you can record a video that might be a few minutes long. It's really like whatever method you prefer. We have no preference. And just try to click, hit all the points. If you click the fellowship one, a few different questions will come up. Some things to think about for the fellowship that may not have come up yet. Any role is welcome to apply. For the fellowship, we ask for a statement from a supervisor just to understand that you do have the organizational support to do this program. And we're really most looking for people who are open to learning, who are clear about what they're trying to achieve, and excited about using creative, innovative ideas. And sometimes the people who do our work are artists, like the people who have been talked about and who've talked today, but you don't have to be. We don't really talk about like art with a capital A, like art school training. It's really just about thinking creatively and being open to innovative methods. And it's like the powers of art and using those instead of like knowing how to paint with a paintbrush. In your application, don't think you have to like cover past failures. If there are things that you have done that you've tried and haven't worked, that's great. That could be really useful to share. We know this work is hard and you can try things and they don't always go the way you want them to. We're very open to hearing about that. And again, we're open in the fellowship to like the relationship that you have with the organization that you're working with. And then clicking back over to the Action Accelerator, what we're looking for is strategic creativity, having that clear objective, if you're looking to engage with an audience in a specific way, and looking for that innovation instead of sort of business as usual, and demonstrating that you've thought that way in the past. this is sort of another way of summarizing all of that, where we'll ask if you have a sound strategy. Do you think we are going to have a real impact? You have a clear audience and awareness of how to reach them? And are you pushing beyond the methods that are typical in voting activism?
And if you want to apply by video, like Rachel mentioned, we just have some tips and requests. So prop up your phone and we want to see your pretty eyes. But if you're going to end up just reading from a sheet, maybe submit the written, application instead. Check the sound quality and the lighting quality before you go on. And do remember though, even with these tips and requests, we're not asking for you to look like a Hollywood star, to have a super perfect edited video. If you want to use fancy edits, you can, but you really don't have to. We want to see you, but just kind of keep those extra tips in mind.
And just a quick note on the timeline, and then we'll get to questions. The application deadline is the end of this month, June 30th. Happens to be my birthday. I'm very excited for those to be lovely gifts that you will give me in a way. We're going to try to choose as soon as possible, like by mid to late July, and then we're going to jump right in with training in August, and then you'll get right to it, testing out your ideas in August and September so that they can be fully implemented by October, November, if not before. And then after Election Day, we'll breathe for a while, and then we'll come back and evaluate how everything went so that we can figure out how to keep helping each other. You can tell us what was good, what we should change, and just keep moving forward. We know this is going to be a really busy stretch. And again, we're just here to help that, not to take away from that. All right. I think it's question time. Crystal, you've been collecting them.
I have.
Where do you think we should start?
We have quite a few questions about funding, so I think that would be helpful for the group.
Okay, great.
So the first question, what can the $12,500 be used for? Is the support from experts part of that?
It's a great question. So we want to look at the funding a little bit on a case-by-case basis. There's a different question, right, of like, if there's is there a project too small or a project too big? No, I don't think so. Especially if you're in an organization, if we can't support all of it, maybe there's money there, or we can see about moving things around to help. The assessment work is like work that the center does. The communications and the media relations support, we're still working on those agreements with those partners. That might come out of the total funding amount or might not. And we can share that answer as soon as we have it.
One thing I'd say though about the project that's too small is it should not be small and like sort of don't sacrifice ambition for budget, right? Try to make, if there's a way it could be bigger with more funds and have more impact, that's what we want. So
yeah. In terms of the volunteer question, if you don't have paid staff that work with volunteers, yes, we're open to working with all volunteer organizations, and we could just work with you to figure out how that fits within the culture of your organization. But all volunteer organizations are more than welcome to be part of this. Are there other funding questions?
Let's see. Do either of these grants fund group travel to a location for the project to take place?
Yeah, I think that would come out of the overall funding budget. And if there are specific needs, we could also talk about that and see what works.
Yeah, we'll look at a budget, and the kind of things we want to see is that you're paying yourself, like that you're not doing it and at your own expense. People need to be fed and time needs to be covered. So, and those are things that can prevent a project from being successful. But yeah, that you've thought through the budget and that it's fair and includes the kinds of things that, the budget actually tells us a little bit more about what you're proposing, right? So think of it that way.
We're not really asking for a budget right now, but if there are
in the future.
Yeah.
Let's see, we have another question. Can an organization collaborate with the local artist and use the funding to sponsor a project they lead?
Yes, definitely.
Okay, I'm just gathering questions.
No, this is great.
So another one we had though is, can a former C4AA grantee apply for the fellowship?
Yes.
Okay. And someone asked, did I understand you correctly that the Action Accelerator is a better fit for artists than the fellowship?
That's a great question. Not necessarily. Like in Jeanine's example, there's Eileen is an artist and works at Fair Count, and so the fellowship is a great fit for Eileen. It might be more about the relationship you have with the organization that is like the better indicator of which one you apply to. And if anyone has like a specific situation that they want to share, we could stay on after and talk about it.
And how many projects do we expect to fund?
Really great question. I'm thinking about 3 to 5 fellows and about 10 projects, but we want to see the applications that come in and see the level of support that the different things might need and adjust from there. Like if there are a lot of projects that could be maybe funded with lower than the cap or the $15,000, then we'll fund more. And if there are some projects that actually need more, then maybe we fund fewer. So it's going to be a little bit of a puzzle to put together, but those are the numbers that we've been thinking about.
And I know we're getting close to time, but I think one important question someone asked that we need to address is what kind of training is available. So can we provide more insight on the training?
Sure.
I can help. So some of it is, I mean, I think we'll probably put people into groups. I know specifically we'll talk about how you prepare a project for the media and like kind of so that it will have the most impact as possible. And that's why we bring in these experts on getting press and things like that. And they're very helpful in thinking strategically about what you can do with press and so that it actually serves the overall goal of the project. So that's one aspect. And then there's of course like all kinds of resources that the center has, from the book to the workshops to like handout, like little sheets that you can fill out that can help you think through different aspects of a project. So I think we would look at what each group needed and then kind of make recommendations and maybe group a few people together and offer you know, maybe a workshop that covers a few things based on those needs. Oh, here's a good question. Is this for get out the vote or can also be used for voter education topics like fair courts, fair maps, etc.?
Yeah, we're looking for projects that are, well, we could think about this together, but looking for projects that lead to people taking direct action. So is education always tied to a call to action? And one of the great call to actions right now is probably to register to vote, get out the vote, bring friends to vote, maybe pass ballot initiatives that are going to make doing those things easier. So if you can make the case for us that there's a tie to impacting the midterms, I think that's what we're looking for.
Yeah, that's a good thing to think about is like what, because you know, I'm pretty sure we'll be funding things in the future. And so to think about like, if you're picking between a few ideas, like what's most important for right now for the fall?
Great. Okay. We've mainly addressed the overall questions. If people want to stay on, there might be a couple like project specific questions that we can get to. And if people have any others that they want to stay on and ask, please feel free. And I'm going to put my email in the chat as well. So if any other questions come up, just reach out to us. And Crystal's email, I think, is also on the application page. And maybe that's the end for now.
Yeah, I just want to say that I'm glad to see so many folks here and the enthusiasm for this work and working in this way. It's great. And as Rachel mentioned, we have the ability to support a good number of projects. So if you know somebody that would be interested in this, you know, it's a collective effort, and we need all of the best ideas to be successful here. So do help, yeah, spread the word and tell people about the program. And yeah, because I think there's a wealth of, no pun intended, of resources that we have.
Thanks, everyone. Feel free to stick around.
All right, yeah, thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.